So think of this. When God made man, he made them from the what?
Dust.
The dust of the earth, the dirt. And what does Job call it?
Clay.
He says remain houses of clay, right? The very minerals in the foods of the earth that we're required to eat are the very minerals in the clay that the Lord made us from. God allowed the herb of the field in the diet to replace the minerals that we lose on a daily basis that we've discussed earlier. Now let me ask you a question. How often does the Bible say we're to eat? Man shall not live by bread alone, but by everywhere. Okay. How often are we told to eat minimum a day? 2 times a day. Now what if you went up to your spouse and you said, honey, I'm hungry. And she said, oh, but darling, I fed you 2 days ago. Is that sufficient? No. Well, eating fruit 2 days ago is not sufficient for today. You need fruit every day. You need vegetables every day. You need nuts every day. You need grains every day. You need seeds every day. In these things are all the minerals of the earth that our bodies require for good health. If you're walking around weak, sickly, fatigued, I guarantee you, you are not eating one of those foods. And if you are, then you're violating the laws of health somewhere. Because what is disease? What is sickness? Violation of the laws of health. Find out what law of health, and as we go through the classes, we're going to go into heart disease in detail, diabetes, cancer. You guys are going to know exactly what to do for heart disease, what to do for diabetes, what to do for high blood pressure, what to do for cancer. I mean, the things that are so rampant in the world today, those are the ones we're going to be covering in detail. But then we're going to be going through each law of health. We're told not only to know what they are, but we are to know how to properly apply each one. I'll give you an example. You guys probably know this because I did a health nugget on it. What is S for in our health, laws of health? Sunshine. But did you know if you wear sunglasses, you will not get the vitamin D that you need? You can be out in the sun for 10 hours. And I hear people say, I'm in the sun all the time and my vitamin D is low. Do you wear sunglasses? Yes. Ecclesiastes 7:11 and 11:7 says it is good for the eye to behold the sun. It says there is benefit, there's profit to those who see the sun because the rays of the sun penetrate the eye, which triggers the retina of the eye, which is in the back, which goes to the pineal gland, which is inside the brain, and then the pineal gland says, oh, vitamin D, and the vitamin D is responsible for over 2,000 hormonal functions in the body.
2,000.
2,000. If you do not get that sun in the eye, forget it. So, see, it's not just sunshine, it's to how to properly apply it. So we'll be going through those in detail. Now getting back to our main topic. So let's go back to our Bible. Let's go to Genesis chapter 7. So we see in the beginning, we saw the diet God gave. And then because of sin, he gave the vegetables. Now we're going to see when meat was given. And this is a refresher course, but I'm trying to go a little bit into detail. Now Genesis chapter 7 verses 1 through 3. If someone can read those verses, I would appreciate it.
I'll read.
Okay?
Okay, Genesis chapter 7, 1 through 3.
Yes.
And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark. For thee have I seen righteousness before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7, and the male and his female. And of the beasts that are not clean by 2, male and his female. And the fowls also in the air by 7, and the male and the female, to keep seed alive unto the face of all the earth.
Amen. The reason I'm bringing these verses out is because when you teach health to people and you get to the root of their disease and you get on the flesh, you're going to be like, don't touch my flesh, and give you all the, oh, Jesus ate fish, and we've heard it all, haven't we? But in the times we're living, when you're dealing with people with cancer and diabetes and heart disease, and they've had 2 and 3 open heart surgeries, you have to really be aggressive. So we have to be, as aggressive as the diseases, we have to be even more aggressive. So don't feel like you need to step on eggshells when somebody's dying of cancer. You need to tell them like it is. So here we see that how many of the unclean? Two. How many of the clean?
7.
Okay, so here we see, if we pay very close attention to these verses, we see that there is a distinction made between the clean and unclean animals, right? This did not start in the days of Moses, like some would claim. This started in the days of Noah. And what was the purpose of giving them the flesh diet? We all know this. That's right, because the flood was coming. But God told them, when you eat it, your lifespan was going to be short. Now, the reason why I went to Genesis 7 first, verses 1 through 3, is because I want to go to Genesis chapter 9, verse 3. And I want to read this verse. Because a lot of people take this out of context, and when you're teaching health, this is a principle that you need to understand. Genesis chapter 9, verse 3 says, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. You say, well, God said we can eat every moving thing. What every moving thing is God referring to here? No, not the green herb. The clean animals. No one knew what God was saying, right? Because you have one Mr. Pig and one Mrs. Pig. Now, what would happen if we ate Mrs. Pig? No offspring, right? So, and we read earlier that the preservation of those animals was to keep seed alive on the earth. It was not to eat the pig, as some would say. So when they throw this verse out at you, Genesis 9:3, take them back to Genesis 7, 1 through 3, and show them the sequence of how this was given. So when God said that, no one knew what he was referring to. So why not the unclean? What is wrong with the pork? We are told in Counsels on Diets and Foods, page 392, paragraph 2, the tissue of the swine swarm with parasites. Yuck. That's disgusting, isn't it? She says swine are scavengers, and this is the only reason they were intended to serve. This is the only what they were intended to serve. Now, brother, can you read that quote for me in Second Selected Messages, page 417 to 418?
Swine's flesh, above all other flesh meats, produces a bad state of the blood. Those who eat freely of pork can but be diseased. Those who have much outdoor exercise do not realize the bad effects of pork eating, as those do whose life is mostly indoors, and whose habits are sedentary, and whose labor is mental. But it is not the physical health alone which is injured by pork eating. The mind is affected, and the finer sensibilities are blunted by the use of this gross article of food. It is impossible for the flesh of any living creature to be healthy when filth is their natural element, when they will feed upon every detestable thing. The flesh of swine is composed of what they eat. If human beings eat their flesh, their blood and their flesh will be corrupted by impurities conveyed to them through swine. Want me to keep going?
No, that's good. That the point was brought across. Now she said two things. I believe it was both in that quote, but maybe another quote I read earlier. Some people eat a lot of pork and they feel no effect. According to that quote, it's because they exercise. Because exercise, there's a quote I read many, many months ago where she said, those people who eat the healthy diet and don't exercise are worse off than those who exercise and don't eat a healthy diet. Did you know that? Yes. So we need to do both.
Can I just make an interesting point? One time in a barbershop, yes, I do go to barbershops occasionally, I read an article in Scientific American magazine, and it talked about the healthiest people in the world by job classification, not by nationality. We know Honduras, and we know people that live in the Ica region in northern Mexico and Azerbaijan. These are very healthy areas, but by job classification. And everybody would naturally think, well, probably a forest ranger, maybe a farmer, maybe an athlete. Be surprised. The healthiest people in the world are soldiers.
Oh, yes.
But interestingly enough, they smoke, they marijuana galore, the worst diet, high stress. But there's one thing they do that virtually nobody else does that enriches it all, and that is extremely vigorous exercise, and also purpose of mind, purpose of saving their country or something that puts in their mind the esprit de corps that they need. And it's amazing. With all the violations, exercise.
Exercise is very, very important.
And yet, Adventists, only, I would say, 1 out of 100 Adventists really exercise.
Well, we're going to save that when we get to the exercise
Okay.
part. Thank you. So we were talking about the pork and the swine. There's something in the pork called tyromine. You guys heard of it? Tyromine. Tyromine produces high blood pressure in just a matter of time. It's also found in rotten fruits and vegetables, and that's why she said don't eat anything decayed. And it's also found in your aged cheeses. And the tyromine, which is in these foods, can make your blood pressure go up just like this. So one of the first things when you're dealing with people with high blood pressure, what's the question you want to ask them?
Pork.
Do you eat pork? And what race is high blood pressure? African American, that's right. Okay. So, shellfish. We're going to get to the shellfish. Why not the shellfish? We're told that these are scavengers of the ocean. Were you aware that crustaceans and others like them eat the poop of the ocean? Yes. They're filters. Did you know that one mussel filters 50 gallons of nasty seawater a day? So if that mussel was in there, let's say a year, 365 times 50 gallons, you're 2,000 gallons worth of disgusting seawater that was filtered through that one mussel. Not the 20 mussels that's in your bowl. Just have one mussel. That's disgusting. When you eat these items, you are eating the filth that they are filtered from the ocean. Many related diseases to this are anaphylactic shock, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, tingling, lack of motor coordination. And I just wanted to read a few things. It's from this book again. It's on the shellfish. Got your lobster and your shrimp and your crab. And this is what it says. It says, there are many germs, both viral and bacterial, living in both salt and fresh water. So when people try to tell you about the freshwater fish, even the good fish, there's many germs in there. And they even did, they went to 291 freshwater streams, took hundreds of fish out of every stream, and in every stream, and every fish they tested, they had high levels of mercury. It says shellfish consumption is responsible for the bulk of food-related disease. What does that mean? Most food diseases, food poisoning and stuff, is from the shellfish. So if somebody says, oh, I've got food poisoning or my stomach is not feeling well, and they just ate, what do you ask them? What did they eat? Right. Did you have shellfish? Did you have lobster, crab, mussels? You know, find out what they ate. It says, shellfish consumption is responsible for the bulk of food-related disease. Japan, where consumption of raw fish and shellfish is the greatest, is precisely the country with the highest incidence of the diseases, but yet they try to make it like eating raw fish is such a great thing. But they have the highest incidences of diseases, and I was one of those people. Eel, octopus, shrimp, crab, you name it. They serve all that. Shellfish are carriers of 6 of the 11 known pathogens of the germ. Cholera. What's Haiti suffering from right now? Cholera. Diarrhea, goes on. Ingestion of contaminated shellfish produces severe gastroenteritis, which is inflammation in the stomach.